I woke up that morning with a weird knot in my stomach, like some inner alarm bell was ringing, but I couldn't quite put my finger on why. I tried to brush it off, chalking it up to nerves about the big day ahead. It was Lisa's sister's wedding, a fancy affair at this stunning countryside estate. The place was straight out of a magazine, lush gardens bursting with color, sunlight streaming through ancient oaks, casting a warm glow over everything. Everyone was decked out in their finest, and Lisa, well, she looked like she'd stepped off a runway in that deep burgundy dress, her curls bouncing just so. We posed for pictures, flashed big smiles, and mingled with the crowd. I kept telling myself to soak it all in, to ignore that nagging little voice in my head whispering that something wasn't right. The ceremony was picture perfect. Lisa's sister glided down the aisle, beaming like she'd just won the lottery. The vows hit everyone right in the feels, and even I got a little misty-eyed watching the love in their eyes. After the I dose, the party moved to the grand hall for the reception. Chandeliers sparkled overhead. Jazz tunes floated through the air, and tables were decked out with white roses and flickering candles. Folks were laughing, dancing, and hitting the open bar hard. I tried to let the vibe of the night wash over me, to loosen up and enjoy it, but something felt off. Lisa was acting strange, pulling away bit by bit. At first, it was subtle. She'd check her phone with a smirk, step outside for some air, or fire off texts like her life depended on it. I figured maybe the wedding chaos was getting to her, or she was just tired from all the family drama. But that excuse didn't hold up for long. Then I saw it, and it hit me like a punch to the gut. Over in a dim corner by the bar, Lisa was chatting up some guy I'd never seen before. He wasn't one of the usual family friends or cousins I'd met at a dozen other gatherings. This dude had a cocky grin plastered on his face, and the way he leaned into her screamed trouble. I stood there, frozen, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe they were old friends catching up, right? But their body language told a different story. Lisa's hand grazed his arm, and they stood way too close for it to be innocent. My chest tightened, a cold wave of dread washing over me. Then she laughed, a bright, carefree giggle I hadn't heard from her in ages. It was the kind of laugh she used to save for me, back when I thought we were solid. Now it was to the stranger, and it cut deeper than I expected. My mind started spinning, replaying the last few months like a bad movie. All those late nights when she claimed she was working late, the secretive phone calls she'd taken in the other room, lowering her voice so I couldn't hear, the dinner she'd bail on with flimsy excuses about girls' night or errands. Was this guy the reason? Had she been lying to me this whole time, play me for a fool? Anger bubbled up, mixed with a sharp sting of betrayal, but I held it together. Part of me wanted to march over, yank her away, and demand answers right there in front of everyone. But another part, the part that was exhausted and heartbroken, told me to stay calm and watch. Then it happened. The guy leaned in, and Lisa didn't pull back. Their lips met in a quick, undeniable kiss. The world around me blurred, like someone had turned down the volume on the music and laughter. My wife, my Lisa, was cheating on me at her own sister's wedding, no less. The audacity of it burned. I could have made a scene, could have stormed over and flipped the table, but I didn't. Instead, I turned and slipped out the hall, past the glittering chandeliers and happy guests, into the cool night air. The garden was quiet, save for the faint hum of celebration drifting from the house. I pulled out my phone and dialed my best friend, Mike. "Man, I need you," I said, my voice shaking as I spilled the whole ugly truth. On the drive home, that moment played on a loop in my head, her sparkling eyes, his hand on her waist, that laugh that wasn't mine anymore. By the time I got to our apartment, I knew it was over. Whatever we'd built was shattered, lying in pieces at that fancy estate. I didn't wait for Lisa to come home with her excuses. I grabbed a duffel bag and started packing. Clothes, toothbrush, a few keepsakes that meant something to me. Before I left, I sent her a text. "I'm done." Short, simple, and heavy with everything I couldn't say out loud. I crashed at Mike's place that night, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of how my life had unraveled in a single evening. For days, I dodged her calls and ignored her texts. She had the nerve to blow up my phone with messages like, "It's not what you think," and "We need to talk, babe." Yeah, right. Then one evening, she showed up at Mike's apartment, looking like a ghost, pale, teary-eyed, clutching a pathetic bouquet of flowers like some cheap apology prop. "Oh, honey, it was a mistake," she whined, her voice dripping with fake sincerity. I was drunk, confused. It didn't mean anything. She rolled her eyes when I didn't respond right away, like I was the one being dramatic. "Come on, don't throw away everything we have over one little slip-up," she sneered, her tone sharp enough to cut. "You're really going to play the victim here?" I stood there, letting her words bounce off me, feeling the pain twist in my gut. When she finally shut up, I looked her dead in the eyes. "You didn't just betray me, Lisa. You stabbed me in the back, humiliated me in front of your family, your sister, everyone who thought we were solid. You don't get to waltz in here with flowers and crocodile tears and expect me to forget that." Her face crumpled, and she started sobbing harder, begging for one last chance like I owed her something. But I was done. "You made your choice," I said, my voice steady. "You picked that guy, that moment, over us. Now you get to live with it. Love doesn't fix a broken trust." I shut the door on her, her wails echoing in the hallway. Weeks turned into months, and I threw myself into healing. I leaned on Mike and my other buddies, who reminded me I was worth more than Lisa's lies. I started taking long walks by the river, letting the fresh air clear my head. I picked up old hobbies, painting, hiking, even messing around with guitar I hadn't touched in years. Slowly, I started feeling like me again, not the guy who'd been blindsided at a wedding. Walking away wasn't weakness. It was the strongest thing I'd ever done. It hurt like hell, but it was the only way to save myself. Months later, Lisa reached out again, her voice desperate in a voicemail. "I screwed up, okay? I know I was awful, but I'm different now. I'll fight for us." She sounded like she'd finally realized what she'd thrown away, but it was too late. I didn't call her back. I'd found peace in my own company, rebuilt my confidence, and learned my worth. That night at her sister's wedding was the worst day of my life. No question. But it was also the day I started over. I came out stronger, wiser, and yeah, happier. I heard through the grapevine that Lisa was struggling, regretting every choice she made, while I was living better than ever. And when I think back to that night, to her betrayal, I don't feel anger anymore. I just smile, knowing I walked away and found myself again,